Hey, Jacob Klein today. I'm going to be talking about AFDs. Our objective of this lesson is just to give you an introduction into the AFD and get you familiarized with the basic outline of the AFD. So, Wilbur Wright said it's possible to fly without motors, but not without knowledge and skill. Today we're going to equip you with a little bit more knowledge to help you get a nice complete flight plan with all the details you can possibly get to keep you safe. So, to start out, we're going to go through the description of the AFD, a basic description, effective date and changes, how to watch out for this stuff and how it applies, using the AFD, sections of interest, and then I'm going to break a little bit and we're going to zoom in on this little portion of my board here, which has an airport, the facility directory for HIO, and we'll give you an airport rundown of that. So to start out, the aim, Chapter 9, Section 1-3, Paragraph D1 says, this 7-volume booklet series contains data on airports, seaplane bases, heliports, nav aids, communications data, weather data sources, airspace, special notices, and operational procedures. The AFD shows data that cannot readily be depicted in graphic form, i.e. the airport hours of operation, type of fuel available, the details that you really want to know when you go to that airport. Aside from that, in layman terms, this is all the information that you want to fly. Before you make a flight plan, before you go anywhere, you're going to want to find all the airports that you're thinking about using and find out whether they're viable options. Not to mention parachute operations, anything within your realm of operation, you can probably find it right in here. So the first thing we're going to go through is the effective date and changes. I've got an old one, but my effective date of changes on this one is 31 May 2012, and this goes all the way through 26 July 2012. That's 56 days. Every issue is going to be 56 days, and another part of that is inside the front page of your AFD, you're going to see this list right in the middle of the view, and this gives you the effective dates and all the issues that you're going to have. This top one, probably can't read it, but that's the date of issue I'm holding in my hand. Everything after that, they're telling you these are the dates they're going to be posted. If you should be like the operator of one of those airports, these are some important dates for you so you know when to get your changes into them by so they can be published in this issue. So the changes inside the AFDs, the changes from the last issue are shown with a little vertical line next to the change on the margin. So say you're looking at your AFD and this is the right side of the page, here's your spine. If this here was changed from last time it was issued, just like in your FAR aim, there's going to be a black line next to the portion that was changed. If both these lines had been changed, they would extend their black line up to there. I made it a black square, but just so because it's a little easier to see on film, but it's just a little line. You can see it right in the beginning of the AFD. All these little lines over here, this means there were changes published in these sections. What else we got? Between issues, the changes are going to be published in your NOTAMs. And NOTAMs are going to be something you're going to get well familiar with checking every time you go on a flight, every time, no matter what. You're going to be checking your NOTAMs. The next thing we're going to be looking at is using your AFD. So to start with, page 1 is the general information and the table of contents. This works just like a general index, any other book you pick up. You want to know what you're looking for or how to find what you're looking for, look it up on page 1. Page 2 through 3, I think it is, has abbreviations. As you're going through this AFD, you're going to find a lot of situations where you're not going to know what these stupid little abbreviations are. Everything else, just like everything else in aviation, every single publication has their own little codes and their own little abbreviations, some of them which are unique to just that publication. So you're going to want to know where to find that. Well, that's page 2 and 3, abbreviations. The directory legend, I think that starts on page 4, and that has a sample airport directory with each section numbered, and in the pages following that, it lists what all those numbers, what all those sections are. On the back cover, which I thought was kind of cool, and I just found this out the other day too, you see those little black arrows, and they go all the way down to here. If you look at one of those, it's going to correlate to a little black line on the page. I don't know if you can see those little black lines right there, but if you want notices, you peel it open at that black line and you've got notices. That's a nice little handy thing. You don't even have to open the book to say, oh, I want Oregon. Right over to the black line, flip it open, and you got Oregon. Great. What else was there? So, sections of interest. Some of the stuff that I thought was important and maybe not touched on very much, but you might want to know this information sometime in the future. There's an FAA National Weather Service section. It's about a quarter of a page, and the only thing that it tells you in it at all is the phone number to get a weather briefing. 1-800-WX-BRIEF. That's the number you're going to use quite a bit. Every time you file a flight plan, you are going to call that number, and you're going to get a weather briefing from a live in-person briefer who's going to put their vast wealth of experience with dealing with weather and giving briefings to use on your particular flight plan. This is going to keep you safer. It's a great resource. 1-800-WX-BRIEF. Put it in your cell phone. Next thing, TAF and METAR explanation. There's a breakdown of a sample TAF and METAR, and with a legend with a bunch of the commonly used codes. This I found very helpful. I didn't even know it was there. I had completed my private license before I even figured out this thing was there by Google searching METAR decoder, which is great, but you're not really learning much by having a machine decode it for you. This actually has what some of the codes are and what that code means. You're going to learn a lot faster by looking at that abbreviation right next to its meaning. What else we have? Oh, there's a section with all the TRACON, ARTCC, and the key air traffic control facilities phone numbers. That one's going to be, you're going to possibly use that, but you might not ever use it because you're going to get those frequencies on the sectional as you fly. But if you ever need to call any of those facilities, it's in here. Carry one with you when you fly. What else we got here? Parachute jumping hours and hours of operation and areas, and this is by state. So for us, this is particularly important because in the future, near future here in your training, when we do cross-country stuff, which you're going to love, we have some parachute operations at one of the airports that we frequently use for our cross-country planning zone. We'll get further into that later. The last large section in the book are the detailed diagrams of each airport. So you probably can't see it on this one. Do this again. Here we have Hillsborough's in the AFD, and you can see that diagram, but it's not very detailed. In the back of the book, what you get is much more detailed, has runway lengths, alpha, taxiway labels, runway exit labels, alpha 1, alpha 2. It even gives you, well, okay, this is the hold short area that you want to pay attention to that was in the AFD, the description for this facility. So these are pretty handy. I printed one of these out and put it in my knee board, and that was during my private, and it's still there. You never memorize everything about the places you're at. You'll get pretty good at it though. What else we got? The last thing that I think is kind of cool in this is, so winds aloft. You're probably familiar with that by now. If you're not, every time you check the weather, you're going to be checking winds aloft so that you can do a proper flight plan with a wind correction angle and get accurate times. You want to know whether you have a headwind or a tailwind. So these winds aloft readings come from balloons that they are tethered to the ground, and they're released once every 12 hours. Or is it 12 hours? 1100 UTC and 2300 UTC. So yeah, every 12 hours. And they give you a reading 30 minutes past 11, so 11:11 or 11:30 UTC and 23:30 UTC, they give you a reading. Well, in the back of your AFD, once again, I come in for this annoying view. They have this little map for the National Weather Service upper air observation stations. And it has a little key, you can't really read it, but the circle is UAOS balloon releases around 1100 and 2300 UTC. And I've highlighted it maybe so you can see a little better, but ours is in Salem. That's where we get our winds aloft from. You look up the winds aloft, you're going to be using Salem's. Well, that's why, because they have that balloon to release. So that's pretty much it for that portion of it. We're going to break now for camera reset and resume to our lovely little AFD cutout for HIO, and I'll see you guys in a second. Alright, so here we have a better view to be able to check out some of these details. I hope you can have a pretty decent view. We'll see. Here we go. So the first thing always up is going to be your airport name, and ours happens to be Portland Hillsboro. They put that as a combined. This is the city it's associated with and the control, and this is where it actually is. HIO is our airport code, and 15 Sierra Whiskey means 15 miles southwest of Portland. We are in a UTC -8 time zone, -7 during daylight savings. This is our GPS coordinates. This is our approach control, or our air traffic facility is Seattle Center. And then it also tells us here that we have an instrument approach procedure on file for it. Here's our field elevation, 208. Bravo means we have a rotating beacon available. Sierra 4, I forget this airport. Sierra 4 is major airframe and major power plant repairs. So there are people who work on this airport that can fix anything on an aircraft, pretty much. This is our fuel available, 100 low lead and Jet A. These are oxygen services. 1 is high pressure, 2 is low pressure, 4 is going to be a low pressure cylinder. That's the oxygen services that are available to us here. The traffic pattern altitude is what Tango Papa Alpha means. 1208, this is going to be the mean sea level altitude for traffic pattern, and this is the AGL, 1000. LRA, dang it, forgot that one too. Anyways, NOTAM file means that that's where you're going to find where to look up the NOTAMs for this particular airport. LRA, I keep blanking out on stuff. Been over this so many times, it's like it's just there and then it's gone. Oh, la 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 la. Landing Rights Airport, that's right, because I don't have to think about this much, but LRA is references you to a specific set of procedures that have to be taken care of if you're coming here from out of country. So this is a customs code, essentially. Over here for runways, runway 1331, and then right here, runway 02 and 20. These are the major descriptions for each runway. Top one here, we can see that it's 6,600 feet by 150 feet wide, and it's asphalt. These numbers is for single gear, 5,000 pound weight limit. Duals, 7,000. Dual singles is 8,900, and double duals is 11,000. And then it gives us high intensity runway lighting. That's what HIRL is for. Runway 2 and 20, same thing. It goes through the distances, type of service, and then it gives runway weight limits, but then it says medium intensity runway lighting. Below each one of these major runway headings, it also gives directional specific runway information. Runway 13 has these medium intensity landing with a PAPI. Runway 31, on the other hand, has reels and a PAPI. So depending on which direction you come in, there's different services. You're going to see something different on your approach end. Same thing with this one. Just, only on 2 and 2.0, all you've got is VASI on both sides. And then it gives you threshold clearance heights of 50 feet. Oh, there's a tree. So look out, 50 feet, there's a tree. That's what's usually you're going to get at the end of each one of these directional specifics is your threshold clearance. You want to be 50 feet, 49 feet, whatever on that particular approach. Land and hold short operations, if there are any for that airport that are authorized, they'll be listed here. For us, we do have land and hold short operations on runway 13, and you're going to be holding short from 0 up until runway 2 and 20. This gives you 4,922 feet from the threshold to your LASSO stop to get that plane stopped, or in our case helicopter, but we can use a lot less than that, I guarantee it. Here we got airport remarks. This is a lot of detailed information. I'm not going to go through all of it just to save on time a little bit, but some of the stuff it covers is like, this is attended between these times. This runway is closed to touch and go landings between these times. Be alert for bird activity in the vicinity November to May. Noise abatement procedures are in effect. Please call blah 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 to get the procedures. Runway 13 run up not visible, blah 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 blah. So it goes through a lot of stuff. Here it gives you our weather data sources. We have an automated ASOS. Dang it, forgot that acronym. Anyways, this is ASOS. This means you call this number and you get a computer voice that automatically is generated from the weather discriminating instrument that's there. Here's the communications. We have a controlled tower frequency of 119.3, an ADIS, which is this information, but checked for error by a human and then replay, or they make a recording of it with their own human voice every hour. Then we have the Unicom frequency. Below communications, there's an approach, departure, and control with a circled R. That means this is radar approach controlled, and there's a frequency there for it. It also has, once again, the tower, the hours, and the ground control. I almost said phone number. That's a frequency, Klein. The airspace, Class D service, gives the hours of the Class D service in the tower, and then it gives you, and other times we're Class E. Gives you the VOR test facility frequency so that you can test your VOR. And then it lists out our radio aids to navigations. We have the Newburgh VOR DME, gives the frequency, call sign, channel, its actual physical location. Good stuff, good stuff. Banks MDB, all the same. And then it lets you know we do have an ILS. Last but not least, it gives you the comm nav and weather remarks. And for us, the only thing it's telling us is we don't have 121.5, which is our emergency frequency. Back to the big zoom. Alright, so in review, we have the AIM description of the AFD. We talked about effective dates and changes, using the AFD and some of the handy things that it provides us with in order to be able to do that easier. The sections of interest, which may or may not be useful, but I thought some of those things were interesting, and a breakdown of the airport. The last thing we're going to go through, there's a couple little questions we have just to kind of check and see whether you're picking this stuff up or not, is how often is that AFD updated? Good, yeah, 56 days. And this keeps it coming out 3 times as frequently as a sectional, so always be checking in there for changes on your sectional. There's a specific cover, or there's a specific section in there that will tell you what changes to their sectionals have happened since the sectional was released. So in between issues, where can we find updated information? Good, yeah. We can get it from the NOTAM-Ds, which you can always pull up online, and this will tell you anything that's happened in the last 55 days to that particular AFD. So then the last thing is where the nearest winds and temps aloft taken, and that's Salem. Yeah, right on. Well, that wraps us up for AFDs. Thanks for everybody's time and attention, and I hope you found something that I presented here today useful. We'll see y'all next time.